Hello, it is I, Emily Kelsall, and I'm wearing a Yeti hat right now, and I'm talking quietly because my family's asleep. But for my human impact assignment today, I'm going to be talking about and discussing the development that's taking place on the British properties, or should I say, development. I do bunny ears because I'm a little bit of an environmentalist, but today I'm going to put my biases aside and take you to the roots of taking down trees and putting up houses. So, without any further ado, let's go!
Whoa! What is happening? In replacement of natural green space, there's bare ground. And in replacement of the bare ground, there's gigantic houses. What's happening? Why is this happening? How is this happening? Today we're going to be addressing 3 questions. 1. Who's giving power to the developers? 2. How does this loss of natural green space affect the human beings? And 3. How does this loss of natural green space affect the ecosystem? And is this being compensated for? With that in mind, let's go!
Okay, now firstly it occurs to me that not many people know what's going on up there. We know that the houses are being built, and everyone cares at least a little bit about the environment. If not that, they care about how this green makes Vancouver a beautiful city. But when we get down to it, the average citizen doesn't really know about the bylaws or permits or anything that really makes the houses building process possible. To see how true my assumption is, I'm gonna go talk to some citizens at the seawall and see what the average citizen of West Vancouver thinks and knows about the development going on in the British properties. Let's go!
Are you a West Vancouver citizen, first of all?
Yes, I am. I've lived here for 23 years. My dad lived here for years. Before that, he was an architect in West Van.
25 years?
40 years.
And how much do you know about what's happening up there?
Not a lot. Not much.
Not exactly.
Not much, to be honest.
Not a lot other than what I see.
Not much.
Just what you see, right?
Yeah.
What's your personal opinion about it, just from looking at it?
It's kind of frightening.
Yeah.
The way that the British properties just keep going west and up the hill in sort of a chunk at a time. And I don't know how far it can go, but I think it can keep going quite a bit further, and that concerns me.
It's done rather in a kind of way that respects nature as much as possible.
First of all, they're monstrosities, and they use a lot of resources, and they're not environmentally sound, and they're not environmentally friendly, and they're just places to money launder investments for foreigners.
It's a tough question. I don't know much about it, so it's hard
Yeah.
to have an opinion. It's good land up there, I guess.
But the problem is that these people aren't living in the houses, and they're turning into ghost towns up there, and the rest of us now can't afford to buy or even to rent now.
My main concerns are, I guess, whether or not it's going to affect the runoff of water, and also if houses are built too close to the forest line, are there fire implications, you know.
And how important do you think the green space in Vancouver is the last question.
Most important.
Compared to other places, it's like heaven.
It's very important. Yeah, it's part of Vancouver.
You know, the ocean and the mountains, and if the mountains just look like one big suburb,
Yeah.
that's not great. And also, I don't think it probably has a great effect on runoff.
So all that's important is our green space. Our green space is what is going to keep us going, and if we destroy the green space, first of all, we'll have no more wild animals, we'll have nowhere to grow food, won't have the spiritual and emotional sustenance that the green space brings to us, because we are nature and we are from nature, and we have to have a balance with our environment and respect nature.
I'm back. So after I talked with some people on the seawall, I decided I should get to the facts of this issue. So I scheduled a meeting with one of the counselors who works at the West Van Council that I know personally from other experience. Unfortunately, we couldn't find each other at the time or place where we scheduled a meeting. But she was nice enough to leave with me some books, some maps, and some documents regarding the development in the British properties, and this is what I found out. Regarding my first question, who's giving power to the developers? In 1931, the British Pacific Properties purchased 4,700 acres of land in West Vancouver. This saved the district of West Vancouver from certain bankruptcy. This being said, the local government now has the power to regulate land use. The official community plan provides policy on which the West Vancouver government can model future development. All this development is taking place in West Vancouver's upper lands. West Vancouver's upper lands, which can generally be defined as the undeveloped lands above the upper levels highway, are comprised of approximately 6,050 acres. It used to be 6,075 acres, but 250 were removed for the addition of the Rogers Creek Area Development Plan, which is a housing plan, but it describes very environmentally and diverse housing, which is different from the big houses we see now on the mountain. The higher elevations are used for things like hiking, skiing, and more recently, biking. Most of this area, 72% of the upper lands, or more than 4,500 acres, is above 1,200 feet in elevation. In general, these lands are designated for limited use and recreation. Of the remaining approximate 1,550 acres below the 1,200 foot elevation line marked here by the red line, most of it is designated as future neighborhood areas, to be planned for future development over the coming decades. Development of these areas is to be guided by pretty environmentally friendly and sensible policy. However, there is some land over the 1,200 meter line that could be developed in exchange for environmental preservation of sensitive land below. So here's a map of West Vancouver's based on land ownership. The purple is the British properties and the yellow is what West Vancouver owns. Additionally, there's this red line that marks the 1,200 meter contour line. It's also important to note that there's an Upper Lands working group that is made out of community members that is studying the Upper Lands to prepare reports on environmental sensitivity. How we're going to make use of this land is still very much up for debate, and with various motion passed, such as the Regional Growth Strategy passed in 2011 by Vancouver, that basically threatens to let this happen, it is more important than ever that we keep up with this important work. Moving on to our second question. How does this lack of green space affect humans? Obviously, as reported by all those that I asked on the seawall, green space is very important to the people living on the North Shore. This is the area to be developed by the Rogers Creek Development Plan. However, 55% of this will be protected. This involves important stream systems and sensitive habitats. This will most likely involve recreational nature as well, such as mountain biking paths and hiking trails. However, most recreation takes place well above the 1,200 meter lines, so it's not at risk. However, it's important to note that our landscape has changed. Take, for example, this. This is an area in West Vancouver that involves two schools, one being Mulgrave and the other being the Collingwood campus, Wentworth. Now take a look at this picture. This must have been taken a while ago because it's changed. Take, for example, this area has been entirely clear-cutted and prepared for housing. So has this area, and so has this area. The final question. How does this disrupt ecosystems, and is this being compensated for? The type of biome we live in is the temperate rainforest. This is the rarest biome in the world, and you only need to look at a map to prove it. This being said, we must protect what is left of this natural wonder, which is really a beautiful ecosystem full of rivers, trees, bears, birds, and salmon. 55% of the land is being protected, but you can't truly replace land that's already been lost. That being said, the District of West Vancouver has done a fantastic job looking after the ecosystem, as demonstrated by the extensive research they've put into the sensitivity of the ecosystem. Here's a map showing the sensitivity of our mountainscape. As you can see, the most sensitive ecosystem
is above the 1,200 meter line, or around White Lake. But recently, the beautiful White Lake that was once labeled as future community land has been protected under the District of West Vancouver as a park. In conclusion, the ecosystem that we live in is pretty darn cool and very, very special, and we're going to have to become informed citizens if we want to have an impact on how this ecosystem and how the world is going to look like in 20 years and how our society is going to function. I can say for myself, I'm going to definitely stay involved and informed on this issue so I can make a difference. I'm going to start an environmental club at my school this year, so hopefully that will turn out to be great. That's all from me right now, and I'm sure you'll hear from me again soon. Until then, Emily Kelsall over and out.